Today is April 17th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we're going to be reading from the Personal Stories, Part 2, They Stopped in Time. Story number 6, Student of Life, pages 319 through 321. And out of the 12 and 12, we're going to continue our journey through Step 12 by reading page 116. So with all that, my friends, hope you're doing well this morning. Life over here is good. We've been given a brand new set of 24 hours, living one day at a time. Who are we going to decide to be today? So let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. So today out of the Big Book, we are going to be reading story number 6, which is Student of Life. This is on page 319. The subtitle says, Living at home with her parents, she tried using willpower to beat the obsession to drink. But it wasn't until she met another alcoholic and went to an AA meeting that sobriety took hold. So with that, we're going to be reading the first 2 pages of our friend's story here. I started drinking at age 18. Rather a late bloomer by today's standards. But after I started, the disease of alcoholism hit me with a vengeance and made up for lost time. After I had been drinking for several years and seriously wondering if I did indeed have a problem with alcohol, I read one of the Are You Alcoholic quiz type checklists. Much relieved, I found that almost nothing applied to me. I'd never lost a job, a spouse, children, or any material possessions through alcohol. The fact that my drinking hadn't allowed me to gain any of those things crossed my mind only after I came into AA. I can't blame 1 ounce of my drinking on my upbringing. My parents were loving and supportive, and have been married for 35 years. No one else in my family exhibits alcoholic drinking or alcoholic behavior. For some reason, despite the resources available to me growing up, I developed into an adult woman terrified of the world around me. I was extremely insecure, though I was careful to hide this fact. I was unable to handle and understand my emotions. I always felt as if everyone else knew what was going on and what they were supposed to be doing, and my life was the only one that was delivered without an instruction book. When I discovered alcohol, everything changed. I took my first real drink my first night at college. I attended what was then to be the first of many, many fraternity parties. I didn't care for the beer, so I went to the vat of innocuous-looking punch. I was told it was laced with grain alcohol. I don't remember how many drinks I had, and my recollections of the actual events of the rest of the night are fuzzy. But I do remember this much. When I was drinking, I was okay. I understood. Everything made sense. I could dance, talk, and enjoy being in my own skin. It was as if I had been an unfinished jigsaw puzzle with one piece missing. As soon as I took a drink, the last piece instantly and effortlessly snapped into place. I don't remember getting home that night, and I woke up the next morning completely dressed and in full makeup. I was as sick as a dog, but I managed to crawl into the shower and prepare for my first college class. I sat through the entire class pleading with my eyes to the professor to let us out early. He kept us at the bell, and when it rang, I flew into the women's room, crashed into the first stall, and threw everything up. The insanity of the disease had already manifested itself. I recall thinking, as I knelt retching in the stall, that this was fantastic. Life was great. I had finally found the answer. Alcohol. Yes, I overdid it the night before, but I was new to this game. I only had to learn how to drink right, and I was set. I attempted to drink right for the next 8 years. My progression was phenomenal. There is absolutely no period in my drinking career that can be described as social drinking. I blacked out almost every time I put alcohol in my system, but I decided that I could live with that. It was a small price to pay for the power and the confidence alcohol gave me. After drinking for less than 6 months, I was almost a daily drinker. Alright, some interesting stuff here. Definitely want to come back to this in just a minute. Alright, my friends, so out of the 12 and 12, we have been journeying through step 12. which is having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And in recent pages, we've been breaking down the practicing these principles part, and also yesterday we were talking about the expectations we put on ourselves and on others. I like this line right here on the bottom of page 115. We had refused to learn the very hard lesson that over-dependence upon people is unsuccessful because all people, that doesn't just include them, that includes me too, are fallible. And even the best of them will sometimes let us down, especially when our demands for attention become unreasonable. So we are going to build on that idea by reading 116 today. Bottom of 115 going to 116. As we made spiritual progress, we saw through these fallacies. It became clear that if we ever were to feel emotionally secure among grown-up people, we would have to put our lives on a give and take basis. We would have to develop the sense of being in partnership or brotherhood with all those around us. We saw that we would need to give constantly of ourselves without demands for repayment. When we persistently did this, we gradually found that people were attracted to us as never before. And even if they failed us, we could be understanding and not too seriously affected. When we developed still some more, we discovered the best possible source of emotional stability to be God Himself. We found that dependence upon His perfect justice, forgiveness, and love was healthy, and that it would work where nothing else would. If we really depended upon God, we couldn't very well play God to our fellows, nor will we feel the urge wholly to rely on human protection and care. These were the new attitudes that finally brought many of us an inner strength and peace that could not deeply be shaken by the shortcomings of others, or by any calamity not of our own making. This new outlook was, we learned, something especially necessary to us alcoholics. For alcoholism had been a lonely business, even though we had been surrounded by people who loved us. But when self-will had driven everybody away, and our isolation had become complete, it caused us to play the big shot in cheap barrooms, and then fare forth alone in the street to depend upon the charity of passers-by. We were still trying to find emotional security by being dominating or dependent upon others. Even when our fortunes had not ebbed that much, and we nevertheless found ourselves alone in the world, we still vainly tried to be secure by some unhealthy kind of domination or dependence. For those of us who were like that, AA had a very special meaning. Through it, we begin to learn right relations with people who understand us. We don't have to be alone anymore. Alright, my friends, great stuff here. Love on 116, it says, we saw that we need to give constantly of ourselves without demands for repayment, not with any selfish motive behind it. When we persistently did this, we gradually, so over time, found that people were attracted to us as never before. And even if they failed us, we could be understanding and not too seriously affected. This reminds me of what a friend told me one time. To make whole, be whole. So some things here that are in our control, as it says right here, if we constantly give of ourselves without demands for repayment, that's something we can do. If we persistently, once again, that's the same thing as constantly, did this, we gradually found that people were attracted to us. It's attraction rather than promotion. And even if they let us down, even if they fail us, we can choose to be understanding and not too seriously affected. The only thing I've learned over time that the only thing that I have control of is my own perspective and my own actions. I can't control anybody else. I thought I could, but truthfully I can't. And accepting that has taken a long time. But there's a whole lot more serenity when I realize, no, there's really only a very few things I can control. And most of them have to do with me and my perspective. So moving on over to the big book real fast. Once again, our friend here, she can't blame 1 ounce of her drinking on her upbringing. It says here, my parents were loving and supportive and have been married for 35 years. Yet, there is something wrong that we see here with our friend's mindset. A little further on, same paragraph on 319. I was extremely insecure, though I was careful to hide this fact. That's me. I was always so insecure, and I can relate to this lady so much. She finally has that drink in college, and sure, she blacked out, but it gave her that missing piece for a while, right? And even as she's attending class and she's begging with her eyes that her instructor will end class early so she can throw up, she still thinks, hey, this is the best. I've got a best friend now. I mean, she still doesn't see that this might be a problem, even as years go by. First time I ever drank, I blacked out. And I thought, well, surely next time. I just didn't know how much to consume, when to stop, and everything like that. Surely next time, I can control it. I should have known. I mean, I should have known. After that first time, I might just be an alcoholic. But, as we can see here, she's not hit her bottom yet. But already, from the outside looking in, it sure looks like she might have a problem with this alcohol stuff. But one thing I do see, a common recurring theme with a lot of these stories is one, that you don't always have to have a horrible home life. It's been about 50-50 from what we've seen here. And two, a lot of these folks are living in fear. And in this case, our friend's living with insecurity. Something's missing. And alcohol, that's a cheap fix that eventually turns on this woman as well. Just like it turns on all of us. So my friends, that's all we have for today. I don't speak on behalf of AA, NA, Al-Anon, any religion, sect, denomination, organization, anything like that. I am just a friend in recovery, just thrilled to be here today. And if you are sober today, you truly are a miracle. I went to a fellowship last night, and somebody who had 35 years of sobriety hit the nail on the head. It's just one day at a time. That's it. He's just as close to another drink as somebody who has one day. And he said, I never graduate, but I want to be here and I want to continue to grow. And when I look at somebody like that, that gives me so much hope for the future. But again, it's just one day at a time. Hope you all have a great one, and I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.